following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello and welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us today. You may not know this, but it is freezing outside and it is warm in here. So I'd like to give a shout out to Cheryl from Fresh of Nashua for this beautiful blouse that she gave me. You guys should check her out, and Mother's Day is coming. I'm sure your mom or your wife or any of your loved ones would love a gift certificate to go see her place. So today I'd like to welcome April Adams. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So we're going to get into your books today and a little bit of your history and where you've come from and what you're doing now. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I own the Retreat on Elm in downtown Manchester, and I do primarily energy healing there, some intuitive life coaching, some channeled messages, but mostly, just a lot of Reiki and other formats of energy work, both giving and teaching those things. And then recently, over the last couple of years, I've released a couple of books. So I have Essence, Ending Emptiness, Finding Fulfillment, and that was my first book from last year.
Yep.
And that one is, originally...
Essence, beautiful. Love the colors.
Thank you.
Well, let's talk about the colors.
Yeah, well...
What do the colors mean?
That, I just wanted something that was very passionate and alive and just gave this feeling of life and life force energy kind of just coming at you. So
that's what you get when you look at this.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Good.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing Reiki for?
I've been doing Reiki for about 7 years now.
Okay.
And it started because I was in this really dark, heavy place and needed something that was just for me. So I went and just took a Reiki class. I didn't even really understand what Reiki was. I had somebody practice on me a couple of times, but, it was comforting, and that was about all that I had experience-wise, and I just randomly went and took a Reiki class, and the second that I felt the energy in my hands, I was just going, oh my gosh, I should be able to see that. Like, it was so palpable in my hands.
Really?
So that second, I was just like, this means there is something else, and this is what I was supposed to be doing. Just boom, instantaneous, life-changing moment there.
Right.
And it really gave me, this huge purpose and this huge drive to move into sort of a new chapter for myself. And as I started to offer Reiki and things like that, people were coming to me who were suffering with the same issues that I was. So anything that I read, anything that I learned, anything that I did to heal myself was exactly what my clients were coming in and needing. So it just naturally evolved very easily into combining life coaching with the energy work. So I find that if you just do energy work on people, they tend to go home and put the blockages right back on again.
Right.
They come in with their blockage, you give them energy work, they feel better, they go home, they do the wrong thing to themselves all over again, and then they need more of the same energy work. Where if you do the energy work, you clear some of that blockage, and then you give people tools to go home with so that they can change their mindset around something, or they can begin practicing something at home that brings them a level of peace, then every time they come in, we're working on another layer of something instead of the same thing over and over and over again.
Now, how often typically do you see your clients?
Usually about every 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
And I kind of let them determine, if somebody's really going through something difficult, I would say every week or two. But for the most part, most people, it's about every 3 or 4 weeks. And it takes about that long to really integrate the energy from the last time.
Right.
So your body and your energy field and everything is slowly processing and moving to a new higher vibrational frequency every time you get an energy session done. And by the time you come back around, about 3 or 4 weeks later, you're ready for the next thing. You're ready to take it up a notch.
Yeah, that makes sense. How long are your sessions usually?
Typically, I do 90 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, because we talk for a while. We talk about, like, what are you struggling with?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of holds you back? What sort of things do you fixate on? What are you going through right now? And then, setting intentions for the session itself, doing some energy work. Usually that's about 40 minutes that we do the energy work. And that takes a lot of different forms, too. It can be Reiki. It can be essence healing, which is how that book came about, was I created my own healing modality after learning Reiki. My intuition just started showing me other things to do besides what traditional Reiki showed. So I began to integrate that, and so I do essence healing, I do Reiki, I do channeled messages for people, so I just ask their spirit guides what they need to know, and we'll bring through a message to guide people. I will do the life coaching thing, and so after we do the energy work part, we sit down and talk about, what did I experience or pick up on while I was working on them? What did they experience while I was working on them? As well as what they need to do at home in between to continue to make more progress. So
you want to keep positive. You don't want to get back in that funk. You got to keep that energy alive.
And so that they don't need to keep coming to see me for the rest of their lives.
Right. Yeah.
I want people to be able to just move on and empower themselves enough to not really need me unless they go through something else major, So
right.
I'm not looking for lifelong clients.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point that you say that. You're not looking for lifelong clients. You want to help them get past whatever they need to be past and learn on their own to fulfill their lives and their needs on their own.
Right.
That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you have a good client base in downtown Manchester, right on Elm Street.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good spot to have.
It is. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And the entrance is right next to a cafe, so a lot of people are familiar with the area because they like to go to either the cafe or the pub.
What cafe?
Cafe Lorraine.
Cafe Lorraine, okay. Not sure exactly where that
and at the
is.
Shaskeen pub is at the other
Oh, yes,
the other side.
We know the Shaskeen, of course. A very popular Irish restaurant.
When I'm giving new people directions, I'm like, Cafe Lorraine, Shaskeen pub, we're
Which
right
one
in between those two.
Perfect. Yeah. So is there anything more that you want to talk about in the Essence book here?
With that book, it was, kind of the first half of my journey. So everything that I learned and picked up on and began to understand that kind of got me out of my crappy situation,
right?
Which was all in my own head, of course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's, it started out as basically a manual for me to teach the healing modality I had created because I set up a class to teach it to other people. And I began writing down the instructions for how to do essence healing. And then I was like, well, they need to know how to develop their intuition because you need your intuition to do real healing work. And they need to know, how to not be miserable in their personal lives. And they need to know how to reprogram their subconscious minds. And they need to know this and this and this and this. So it became kind of a metaphysical 101, included with some emotional fulfillment kind of stuff, some relationship concepts, because a lot of times we tend to put all of our focus on the person that we're with, expecting them to give us all of our happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what kind of put me into this whole thing in the first place.
Yeah, you have to be happy within yourself.
Yeah, because, I was really always focused on what did my romantic life look like, and how was my romantic partner treating me, and how did I feel in that relationship, and was it fulfilling? And that was my entire identity for most of my life. So whenever that wasn't going the way I wanted it to go, it was like the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I needed something that was just for me. That's why I took the Reiki class. And, then this is what happens.
Yeah.
And I get so much feedback from people going, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going through. I, totally rely on my romantic life for all of my fulfillment. I expect that to make me whole. And it's such garbage.
It is, and and a lot of people depend on other things in their life to kind of fulfill them.
Right.
And when you sit back and look in the mirror and look back at you need to be the one to fulfill yourself before you can make anybody else happy.
Yes.
Is there anybody in that other channelers or any other inspirational people that you've admired or you have learned from during this process?
So in the beginning, it was people like Eckhart Tolle, Louise Hay. John Welshons wrote a really great book, relationship-wise, called One Soul, One Love, One Heart. Mm-hmm. That one really, my jaw was on the floor the whole time because it felt like it was a letter to me.
Wow.
Here's how you've been looking at things, and here's what it's been doing to you.
Yeah.
And here's a different way you can look at it. Now try that. And I was just blown away. And pretty much everyone I've recommended that book to has also been blown away by it. So there were initially, several people. I was just reading everything I could get my hands on for the first years that I was doing all of this. And then as I began to work toward channeling, it was Esther Hicks, which she's the channeler of Abraham Hicks. She does a lot of, she travels around the world doing channeling events where essentially she'll channel a message for everyone, and then she will channel, like people will come up, sit in the hot seat and ask her a question, and she'll channel them their answers as to, how they need to be shifting their mindset or, changing their perception around things or what they can do to improve their situations. And that's really where, last year after I released Essence, I started channeling messages on Facebook. I started sharing, whatever I would channel, I would just put it out there on Facebook. And pretty much immediately, they just started blowing up.
Right.
It was crazy. So
it's a good way on social media to get that out there.
Yeah. So after about 6 months of just sharing my channels on Facebook and having everybody react in a big way to them, I mean, first of all, it grew my following in a big way. It grew my clientele in a big way. And then I just said, I need to put this in a book. And I sat down and channeled more specific messages just for the book, and then included everything I had put on Facebook as well. And that's this, Less Logic, More Wisdom. And it's all about, the subtitle is Surviving the Shift with Your Sanity Intact. So while Esther Hicks talks about the law of attraction, like the whole concept of you can attract what you want with your thoughts and your vibrational frequency, for me, my channel always wants to talk about the shift. So the shift is a huge concept, and it sounds like this really crazy New Age thing, but if you actually look at the science, there is scientific evidence that this is occurring. So the premise is that we are, the planet itself is raising in vibrational frequency. Over the last 10 years or so, the planet has been raising in vibration, raising in vibration, raising in vibration. If you look this up, you can see the Schumann Resonance, as that's how they measure what the Earth is up to, and it is raising in vibration much more quickly than it ever has in recorded history. And what that does to us as humans is, we're still resonating at the lower frequency that we were at before with all of the thoughts and beliefs and behaviors and things from the past. And the Earth is up here vibrating at this frequency, and we're vibrating at this frequency, and it's really uncomfortable. And everything in us that doesn't resonate at this frequency is coming up right in our faces going, pay attention to me, heal me, release me. But most people instead are just getting triggered by it. So all of that discomfort, all of those things that are coming up so that we can heal and release them instead are triggering us, making us feel anxiety for no explicable reason, bringing up situations in our lives to kind of show us something we need to heal or release. But the fact that people don't know that the shift is occurring and the reason they're being triggered is so that they can heal and begin to raise in vibration. So that creates just so much, heaviness and fear, and there's been a lot of people who just feel fear and anxiety, and
we're affected by what's going on around us.
Right.
And we don't know how to recognize what is going on around us. So we're, you have to really do your research and get in tune with yourself and, people like you. So channeling, what exactly does that mean? What does that mean exactly? What happens?
Depends on who you ask.
Okay. Good point.
As far as, my understanding of it, I am speaking to spirit guides or my higher self and essentially just the divine realm at large. My channel calls itself the collective, but, as with any spirit guide or anything like that, I'm told that we actually subconsciously name them ourselves. So, anytime we're interacting with a spirit guide or a collection of people, it's often, what we're at least subconsciously comfortable with calling them, because a lot of times you know, I mean, with a large group, what are you going to call everybody? But then even with an individual, you know, the names, it's more of an energetic frequency.
So
than
it's energy. You know, it's not basically picking up words or conversation. It's more of like an energy. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. So it's an energetic transmission that kind of comes in, and our brain is the translator for that.
Okay.
So my brain is just taking that energy and translating it into words. So when I go deep, you know, I just kind of get into the theta brainwave state, which is a nice slow brainwave state that helps you access your intuition really easily. And I just ask for, you know, first of all, I make sure that I'm speaking directly to the divine realm and not just the ethers, because you can end up talking to, you know, ghosts and spirits that haven't crossed into the light, and all kinds of other things that, you know, you get just as much confusing ridiculousness from that as you would from talking to anybody on the street. Okay. So you want to make sure that you're getting it from a pure source. And you can kind of tell by how you feel, because I feel very relaxed and open and soothed while I'm, you know, channeling divine.
Right. It feels positive. It feels right.
And the message that comes through is always very loving, you know, and really soothing. And you know, I mean, sometimes they get a little bit no nonsense, like they just want to, you know, the energy that comes through, I'll almost be shown like grabbing someone by the lapels and shaking them, like, wake up, it's time to wake up. Yeah, but basically it's, you know, an energetic transmission from the divine that I'm translating, and so a lot of times any channeler that channels is going to sound like it's coming from them, because some level of your personality as you translate is going to be a part of that message. So any channeler, it's going to sound to some extent like that information is coming from them. And honestly, to the channeler themselves, it feels that way too. It feels like you're just making things up in your head. So the only way that you really get that kind of, you get enough confidence to be able to speak it out loud is to, you know, test it out with people little by little. So I started out, you know, in sessions, just kind of, I would ask for a message for the person on the table, and I would just take it in internally. I wouldn't speak it out loud. And then at the end of the session, I would say, while I was working on you, I asked for a message, here's what came through, and just kind of give a synopsis. And every time they were just like, really? How did you know that? That's exactly what I needed to hear. What on earth? So it was just that happening time after time after time that finally gave me the confidence and strength to be able to start sharing, you know, bigger channels on a more public front, and have the guts to actually put that out there and believe that it was something other than just me talking out of my butt. Right. So,
well, and I wanted to ask you too, because I want to make sure that people, you know, because there's a whole medium thing that is out there and channeling, and, you know, people, I want them to understand exactly what we're talking about, and then be interested.
The difference between mediumship and channeling.
Right. Because you know, it's just mind blowing and just crazy stuff that you know goes on.
Yeah.
And then that way people can order your books and they can get familiar with your stories and your passion and what you know what you do.
Yep.
So tell me about the cover of this book. This is so impressive. I want to buy it just because I just think it's so amazing. It's so cool. Less logic, more wisdom. The photo of you with the hands on your face is amazing.
So the photographer that took that, she had seen something similar. I think, you know, I mean, she's always studying up on all different photographic
and what they can do,
techniques and stuff.
Yeah.
And so she was like, I have this idea of something I want to do with you. And so, you know, she had me pose just like straight-faced.
Yeah.
With the necklace in my mouth.
Yeah. What are you going to do with this? What?
It's the Hamsa, I think it's Hamsa, prayer symbol. And so she had me use that, and then she would also have me pose like this.
Right.
And she just superimposed the two images right over each other and just kind of formed everything beautifully. but I love how it's kind of like being able to see even when your eyes are closed, even when, you're covering, and, to be able to see beyond, like, the physical aspect of things. Be able to look beyond all of that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing. So we have your first book, Essence, Finding Emptiness, Finding Fulfillment, and we have this book. So that's quite an accomplishment in the last 3 years. That's a lot.
It is.
I can't even imagine.
And when I finished the first book, and I was, immediately told I was going to be writing another book. So I knew as soon as I finished that one that there was going to be another one. Like I got a message, like, just divinely, an understanding of, you're going to write another book now. And I couldn't imagine, because to me, I had put everything I knew into this book at that time. And that was like just over a year ago. That was last January 2015. I had put everything in there.
That's what I'm saying.
So I'm going like, how am I going to have like anything else to add to another book? Like, what the heck is going to, bring that in?
Yep.
And I just trusted. I was like, okay. And then I, shortly after that, got the message that it was going to be a channeled book. So, well, that at least takes the pressure off of me.
Right.
Because then I don't have to come up with things out of my own head. I just, bring through the messages, bring it through.
So all of your messages and working with your clients and the different experiences that you've had, that's what you incorporated this book with?
Yeah. So, this book is essentially the second half of my journey up until this point. Mm-hmm. So the first half really kind of brings everything up to, this sort of state of being able to look at things from a different perspective. But then this one really takes everything to the next level, and there's a concept that I talk about in both of them, such as being an empath, which is where you kind of feel other people's stuff. You're around other people, or even like, when you can feel a room, you walk into the room,
negative, whatever.
Right.
Yes.
So a lot of people can, and it's becoming even more common at this point, to be able to just be talking to somebody or tune into them or even thinking about them and to feel what they're feeling or to start thinking about what they're thinking about. And a lot of people have no clue that that's what's going on with them. They think it's their own stuff instead of somebody else's.
Yeah.
So I walk people through the journey of going all the way from even recognizing you're an empath at all the way to being able to be wide open to it instead of, what a lot of times you get all of these, these messages that you're supposed to put up walls and barriers and boundaries and bubbles and protect yourself and stuff like that. And so in essence, I had gone through the process of showing people that it was actually them tuning into someone else. It wasn't someone else putting their stuff on you. It was like me going, hey, energetically and subconsciously feeling into other people, going, what's going on over here? So just kind of pulling in those energetic feelers and minding your own business. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can definitely have a bad day.
Yeah.
Where, there's negative vibe, surrounding you at your workplace or school or wherever it may be. And, I totally have had that happen to me several times. So you need to rechannel, refocus.
Right.
Don't let that bad
Pull it
energy.
In. Stop tuning into everyone else.
It's like put that shield up, right?
Yeah.
Block it from, ruining your day.
So with this, there are actually steps that I was intuitively guided through that help you to just have an automatic protection system going so that you can be just wide open and let everything flow right through you. Mm-hmm. Where if you're in a state of resistance to something, you actually start to resonate with it. So you start attracting the very things you're trying to keep out.
Yes.
So you're like, that person's negative. I don't want their negativity. I'm going to put up a wall. And now that wall resonates with that negativity. Mm-hmm. So then it's like a magnet. More negativity, and it just starts flying at you. Where if you're just wide open, letting everything just flow right through and being like, instead of trying to avoid something, be like, bring it on. Lean into it. And that, it purifies that energy very quickly. Because if you're coming at things from an open way, you're automatically transforming that energy from a low vibration into a high vibration.
Yeah, it's something that you really, as we all need to do like every day. I mean, but it's so hard to get that mindset to focus like that. I'm going to, even if it's a little prayer or a little a little of whatever
Mhm.
you do in your daily routine or make it in your daily routine,
Yeah.
it's difficult to make that happen. Our lives are so busy.
Yep.
Today's day and age, we're all over the place. It's kind of sad. You know, if
Yeah.
you think about the time that we don't take out for ourselves and we really need to.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
whether it's getting pampered or going to get Reiki done or massage or whatever it may be, you know, just taking that time to take care of ourselves and relax.
Absolutely.
And not have that negative
Yeah.
stuff bouncing off us all the time.
So this actually has, both books actually, have a whole bunch of digital bonus material that come with them. So you just sign up at a website and
cool.
you get the links to download all of the, there's guided meditations, and there's meditation videos and all kinds of different things that come with both books. And so with the Less Logic, More Wisdom, there is an MP3 guided meditation that walks you through how to be wide open.
Nice.
And you're supposed to listen to it every night for a month. So
Oh,
it
really?
really like gets into your subconscious mind, so it becomes this natural state for you, because we've spent our whole lives getting programmed to like constrict and close up and protect. So it really takes a lot for us to get back to that, you know, that space where our heart's open and our energy field's open and we're letting it all just come.
So where can people order these books?
So Amazon.com.
Amazon, love Amazon.
Yep.
Amazon.com.
Love Amazon.
We're friends. So they can get on Amazon. That's great. Good to know to have that plug out there. And you're also on Facebook.
Yes.
So your website will be listed on our show today. So if anybody wants
awesome.
to get in contact with you, they could do that. So we have a couple of seconds left. Is there anything that you want to kind of put out there to end our show? Any wisdom or knowledge?
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, it falls right in line with the surviving the shift thing. Really just paying attention to everything that you're going through at this point and recognizing that it's there for a reason. And all of the world stage stuff, like people are really concerned about the politics and the education system and the church and, you know, everything right now, the economy, all of it is, everything's coming to a head. Because all of that resonates with the old frequency, just like all of our old garbage does. And it has to get to this crescendo, this apex of chaos, so that it can just implode and change into something else.
Right.
So, you know, when we look outside of ourselves and we see all of this massive chaos going on in the world and we freak out about it, we're just kind of playing into that old frequency. But if we can look at it and say, this is all here, this is all happening right now, in order to change into something better.
Yeah.
Because that's what the shift is changing from basically the dark ages to an age of light.
Awesome.
And so things will be much more peaceful and beautiful and all of that once all of those old things have kind of fallen by the wayside and we begin to resonate with the planet.
Yeah. Well, that's great. If anybody wants to get a hold of April, our website will be available. She's on Facebook. And please look up her books on Amazon.com. And that's it for today. Thank you for being my guest.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.